was trending for a moment on Twitter about like the right to sex. Did you see this? Anyone? Did you see this? It was one of the wildest conversations people were having, and I think part of it came down to bad branding or whatever. But essentially, I think there was a Washington Post article that came out saying that men in their 30s are having less sex than ever before, in history. Just men are not having and I think it was framed as, and forgive me, but I'm paraphrasing, it was like framed as they're not having enough sex or not having as much sex as they would like to have, and the number has gone down dramatically over the past few decades. And so obviously that study came out, and I was reading that, and the first thing I thought was like, well, you don't know how much people are having sex. You know how much people told you they're having sex. That's the first thing. But even if it is true, it was interesting to see the conversations that came afterwards, because then some people were saying, this is why we need to have a right to sex in this country. You need to have a right to sex. No, and I think it got. That's why I say bad branding. I think what some people were saying was, we need to decriminalize sex work in America and in the world because we've created these structures that now make people ashamed. And that conversation, I don't even think I'm, close to being qualified to speak on. I think sex workers have actually started many great conversations around how they think the industry should be formalized and changed. But what I did find was, I found it interesting how the framing always talks about men and sex alone. No, but it never talks about two things. One, very seldom in society do we talk about how the expectation of sex was often set by a society controlled by men, and women were just subject to it, And as that has changed, you would hope that now the dynamics would change. But it also makes it seem so one-dimensional. They go like, women, men aren't having the sex that they want to have or wish to have. And I go like, how much sex do they think they're supposed to have? Let's start there. Secondly, like, do they think they're entitled to the sex? And third, and most importantly for me, and I really feel like we don't speak about this enough, is people don't realize how often men are experiencing a lack of intimacy. And the only place that they can experience that intimacy is through sex. We've created a society where men are so afraid to be vulnerable with each other, to be, sensitive with each other, to care for each other, to love each other. Even saying that as a guy, you always have to change and be like, you can't just say, I love you. You have to be like, I love you, dog. You know what I mean? You got to throw it, like, you can't just say it. And it's interesting because that is where I do feel women have done a much better job of being there intimately for each other. Not sexually, but intimately. And I think we take for granted how much in society men who say sex is the thing they're not getting are actually struggling with a lack of companionship, of intimacy, of being in a space with a person where they're sharing, everything from serotonin to endorphins to what humans need to feel, And I hope we can change that conversation just a little bit more. I hope we get to the place where guys go, oh, I actually didn't need the sex. I needed to be held. And I live in a society where it's hard to be held unless I'm having sex. Because as guys, you can't just go to a guy and be like, just hold me. True. And I hope the conversation goes there, not just from, well, a right to sex. It's like, no, sometimes you just want to be held. There are many sex workers who've talked about this, where they'll talk about how many men will pay them and then say, hey, can we just talk? Can we just sit on the bed and talk? And can you just hold me? Can you just... And I think if we have a little more of those conversations, a few more honest conversations, a few more vulnerable conversations, we may get to a place where it's not just about sex or no sex. It's people actually saying, oh yeah, we are full human beings who require a full spectrum of affection and affections towards us. And in the same way, for many years, great therapists have been saying that women have to be allowed to express that they want and enjoy sex. I think we also have to encourage men in society to go, hey, I want to express and enjoy intimacy despite or apart from sex. And yeah, maybe we can make it happen. What do you think? Yeah, Bennett? Yeah? You can try. Yeah, you can try.
Yeah, right.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? It's your man. Are we frozen?
Oh, I believe that we.
Yes, we are frozen.
You're not frozen.
You're not frozen.
You are
We're
not.
frozen.
Lead us in, Sean.
What up? Hi, ITZ. I know you guys are like, that is not the studio. It's not. I'm on location. However, I'm still in the building to hang out with Brian, who, hangs out with us once a month. And today we're going to be talking about the intimacy divide, why men and women cannot get on the same page about intimacy. I don't see the rest of the crew, so I can't really introduce them right now, but I see Jamal is in the comments starting to fuck shit already. Thanks, Jamal. We always appreciate your commentary when it comes to topics like this.
Let's start the whole stream over though.
Oh, you guys are back. Welcome back.
Can you hear us, Sean?
I can hear you. You
Are we
just start
moving?
moving.
All right, we've got video issues, so until that's resolved, we'll just go with the audio. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It Is On Podcast. This is your man, B. Foster. B. Foster is in the building. Please ignore our video. We will work on that in a second. But as long as you can hear my smooth, melodious voice, I'm sure everything will be A-okay. Sean, good to see you, boo-boo. How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was quite the roller coaster. I had planned on, I didn't know we were going to get into this, but I'll give a very short snippet of what happened.
Short.
I said short, Mr. Late Pants. Don't try to rush me. You was late? Oh, okay. So
that's why it's got to be short.
So this Thanksgiving, my plan was to introduce my family to my new beau, but unfortunately my daughter came up sick, so I had to cook for all three of us. So I spent Thanksgiving actually cooking, which was not my plan. Didn't have Thanksgiving food, but everybody enjoyed themselves and we got to watch football and play some video games. So it wasn't what was expected, but it was a nice Thanksgiving. What about you, B?
It was all good. We were supposed to be out of town, and my nephew fell ill. Aww. Which was great for me because I didn't want to go any damn way. No, I'm kidding. I was supposed to go to Indianapolis and see my wife's brother and his family is there, who I love. But I was really kind of angling for a really chill Thanksgiving. And God answers prayers sometimes.
Right.
Won't he do it? So we just my man Saran, who was our sponsor for today, he just cooked. Saran's a chef. So he was taking Thanksgiving orders, and I said, my man, I know I'm like the day before Thanksgiving. Can you hook your boy up? And he hooks your boy up. So it's just me and the fam hanging out, chilling out. I ate 3 plates because we got the food in the morning. So I ate in the morning, the evening, and the afternoon and the evening. Oh, yeah. And then
so you're done with leftovers.
I napped 3 times.
And science experiment.
Yeah,
so.
That's right. Yeah, at this point, that's done. So anyway, it was good. I hope all of you all had an amazing holiday as well. Happy Thanksgiving, going into the Christmas season. Let's take. Let's get into this convo. You can see him, but you can't see him. I got my hostess with the mostest, Gina, by my side.
Hey.
What's happening?
Not much. See, look, we're together again.
We're together again.
I know, we're not usually, so.
That's right. We're going to make this a thing. On my left, I got my man, 50 Grand. You've seen him before on quite a few episodes. He usually keeps the spice going. It's my man, Jeff Murray. What's happening, brother?
Salute, my brother. Salute. Happy to be here. You know, it's a big season that just started.
What's that? Cuffing season?
Man. Sagittarius season.
Sagittarius season.
My birthday's en route.
Oh.
Cuffing season
Everyone's smiling. Oh, smiling now.
The ass end of the fucking spectrum, yeah.
Sagittarian men are the devil. That's why.
Whoa.
Starting early.
Now we're going to talk about intimacy.
I'm a Virgo.
Right.
And then on my right, she has been on one episode previously. I think it was Dating During COVID After 40.
That one.
One of our more popular episodes a few years ago. But so I had to have her back. My girl Keisha, what's happening?
What up, Keisha? Thank you for
Absolutely. You didn't embarrass us last time, so,
so
we're gonna you got invited
Right,
back.
you got it back. You
There
go
you
to the
go.
barbecue.
I promise to be on best behavior today.
Then you
please
won't get
don't.
invited
That's
back.
the worst.
Then you
You
won't
can't
get
be on
invited
best
back.
behavior. That's not allowed here.
All right, so we having some Wi-Fi issues. I think is what's messing with our connection. So you all used to listen in the podcast, so let's just do it old school
Our
until
voices
maybe
are
it
very
kicks back in. Anyway, let's get it started. Sean brought this topic up to me the other day, and I think it's a great one. I think my man led it in perfectly. I think there's a misunderstanding between the ladies and the gents about what intimacy truly means for all of us, right? So if you ask one person what intimacy means for them, you get a different answer than the other person. And we also often think that men and women see this differently. And I think maybe this divide isn't as great as we think. And I want to hash it out today.
Okay.
So I'm going to start today with the ladies.
Sure.
Gina, since you're here,
Oh, thanks.
right here next to me. Intimacy is defined by, let's do it two different ways.
Okay.
Let's do intimacy is defined by you, and then intimacy as you think women in general would define it.
Well, I think women will equate intimacy with ability or feeling,
Mhm.
and also physically. So there's a physical thing, and then there's the physical when you're sharing your feelings, and it's not just a slam, right? Like, so that's not intimacy. That's you're getting it in, right? Intimacy with somebody that you can share your feelings with and have a real meaningful connection with, I think is
That's intimate. And is that how you think most women would define it, or is that how you define it?
You know what? That's how I define it, and I'm not really sure how most women would define it. To be honest with you, I would imagine they would, but I could be totally wrong. Which is why we have a couple of other women on
That's
this podcast.
why we have not just you.
They can either support or deny my claim.
Keisha?
I feel like I can support. I mean, another way of saying it is like the intimacy. How are we showing it? Through words, through actions. It's not just a physical thing. So I think a lot of women probably will go teeter towards that than the physical. But then also, I think a lot of women's physical is tied to the. So
yes,
you could have,
every single person you're with.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I do have friends where every single person they sleep with, they're like, we had a real moment. I'm like, it lasted 20 minutes. It ended when he left. I don't know that was a real.
What you had was a real penis in your vagina.
Exactly.
that's what
there we go.
That's what you really. That's what you really had. Now maybe it was a moment for you.
Right.
That part.
And it was about a 15-minute moment for him. If you're lucky, it was 30.
That part.
Yeah.
Shit, if you're lucky, it's 15.
I was about to say, we giving them a lot of credit.
Shit, a lot of makers. That might get you past 10, but that's about it. Sean, what you got to say, ladies? But first of all, how would you think ladies would define intimacy, and then how would you define it? And it looks like we've got video. Yeah.
Yes, you have video. I was just letting Jake know that. I think. Well, let me start with myself. For me, intimacy are the moments of being able to be vulnerable, being completely yourself, whatever that means in a moment, whether like Trevor Noah said, you need to be held or you need to just talk endlessly or whatever you need, that ability to be vulnerable. How would I think women would describe being intimate? That's really hard to say. Right. Because I think if you just ask a woman, they may say like very stereotypical things, like maybe like sitting at dinner and talking and it's candlelight and things like that. But I think it's a little bit more than just the surfacey things that we kind of think of when we think of relationships. That's kind of how I see it.
Okay. Jeff? What do you think about what these ladies are saying?
You got to hold it down for all the gents, Jeff.
Jeff says it's trash.
No, really, I think there's some truth to that, right? I think there's so many different versions of people feel intimacy, and when we really look at it, that makes sense. That makes sense too. So this depends on who you sitting down with it that day. I believe like. The general stuff that around men, a lot of times we think of the physical. I'm not gonna lie. Well, that's the most common. That's what we think. Me myself, when I sat down and thought about it, I was like, there's a whole lot more to it though. There's like 4 levels for me. Like there's mental.
Okay,
let's
he's
go.
Gonna break
There's
it down
like
for 4.
Emotional. There's physical. And there's like a spiritual type. And they don't even have to be religious, but it's like spiritual. What's your real connection, beliefs, and all that? How do you got, and you don't even have to be the same on the same page. You just got to understand where the other person is.
You're like a 1%.
Am I?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Jeff out here bullshitting. He trying to, ladies, don't buy this bullshit that Jeff is spitting to you.
I was not expecting to hear that at all, period.
And Jeff, are you attached? Or were you
Not at the moment.
Okay, so I was just.
Because that would make a difference.
Yeah.
I wasn't
He went
sure.
to a intimacy
here y'all
website.
go.
He'd have stole some motherfuckers.
Right.
Here y'all go. Here y'all go.
Jeff, you gonna take that? I believe you believe
You see
that.
how they doing me, Sean?
That's-
If you were in here, you could.
I was just
you
curious.
do some of that fun.
Keisha, are you attached? I'll ask
There you go.
Keisha
That
as
would be
well.
fair.
I am fuckboy free right now.
You are
Oh,
fuck
see?
boy FBF.
Damn.
What does
That's free.
Fuckboy
Free.
Friday look like at your
I
house?
am very single. I'm definitely
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, continue.
I was making sure we had the right
So
perspective.
I mean, just
Let's make sure we understand.
I think a lot of this comes from the female and the male side. I don't think that's just levels for the guys. I think like the physical is obvious, right? You have to have that physical connection with whoever you. Over time, obvious. I'm not vibing with a person, can't even connect and touch and all that. For me, it's not gonna work. So that's almost like the beginning. That's the beginning, you know. But I think when you go from there, and then you look at the emotional. Believe it or not, guys want to be vulnerable too. We've been put on pedestals to be the provider, the supporter, the security, right? So if we get vulnerable, how much security are you really providing? Are they taking that and saying like, oh, he was tearing up because of such and such what happened, and then you're like, damn, I can't even get vulnerable with my own girl. You
I
know?
can't get vulnerable without her calling me a little bitch.
Yeah, exactly. And guys, I think we almost, and I haven't been married before, but I would think it marry you almost feel a little bit safer revealing some of that emotional
Divorce is too expensive.
stuff like that, right? But still, it's expensive. But I still like that. I feel like that's a tough place for guys to be safe where we can. Yeah, I had some hard times. Like you come home from work, fighting work, and then you get back to the crib, and you let down a hard shield, but you still have a slight shield up depending on where you are in your relationship.
Right.
because most guys don't want to hear that come back like in an argument or
Right.
so they feel like
Exactly.
if I let this out or I'm super vulnerable, she might come
You
back
take
with
that
the
Jamal
1-2
shit down.
punch.
We don't need to. We got it, Jamal. You put some big words. Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
We've seen history of that, right? It'd be like, yeah, I mean, I did have a little problem with that. And then it'd be like, yo, little soft ass. Remember that one time your ass told me this?
Right.
I'd be like, see, that's
When
why
your
guys
little
can't be
girlfriend
vulnerable.
hurt your little feelings at one time,
Right.
And
Right.
now you over here putting that on me because your little soft ass didn't know how to deal with it.
Talking about when I told you that.
Don't
in-
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Y'all know y'all be
and
chicken
you do
nugget.
it really well
Exactly.
too, doesn't he? He's
Told
like,
you that
Wow.
in
I've
Who
seen
are
it.
y'all dating that do
Told you
things like
2
this?
years ago. You still remember my exact words?
And then you go use it against me.
what is Sean saying? What is Sean?
What'd
What
you
did
say,
he
Sean?
say, honey?
I said, like, who are y'all dating that are doing things like this? Y'all need to
This is what I
reevaluate the women
Hold
y'all
on.
dating.
I agree with you, Sean.
Keisha knew exactly what I was talking
Stop,
about.
stop, and stop.
Because I've heard it before.
Stop, stop,
It's
and stop.
bullshit.
All three of you are not going to sit there and tell me you've never used something the dude told you in an
Oh,
argument.
absolutely, I have.
That's
Not
what
in
I'm
my
that's what we're
grown
talking
woman's
about.
life.
I haven't done it.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Sean,
I
you've
haven't
never
done it
done that.
lately, but
Not since I've been a grown up when I was like 20.
Exactly,
You've done it.
Sean.
But you've done it, right?
Yeah, I mean, fine. I've done a
Yes or
lot
no?
of things.
Yes.
All
Thank
we
you.
need to know.
Keisha, you've done it, right?
Maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
all we need to
So
know.
let's not play. I don't know who you
So,
date.
act
You
like-
motherfuckers. That's what we're
We talking about y'all.
As
Okay.
I said,
I'm not saying right
She
now.
did say
I'm a
not
mean
as
fighter.
a grown ass woman.
Woman.
We are all grown ass people right
If
now.
we dated lightly, say we dated 20 people if you're single in the last 4 years, right? 5 a year.
Come on,
We've done
Jeff.
more than that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
say 20 in a year. And
20
we-
in a year.
and y'all all only did it to us once. You did that to me 20 times. I've received it 20 times.
Y'all
That's
gotta
why you have to
understand
be
how our
careful about
heads
who
work.
you
Yes.
Yeah.
who you expose yourself to.
A
It's
person
very
that done it
important.
once in their life.
That's
one,
why.
one.
That's why. No, that is why intimacy should not be taken lightly because
Exactly.
you have to be careful about who you're
Yes.
vulnerable with
Mhm.
because they will throw your shit right back in your face if they're not the right person.
we
And
have
so
to wait till
if
marriage.
you're not careful, you'll
Yeah.
expose yourself to things that will then damage you going forward and preclude you from having like normal relationships.
Deep.
And
So
Gotta be
Jeff,
careful.
you went ocean deep on your levels. Do you think most men called you a 1%er? You think most men view intimacy that way, or do you think when we hear intimacy, go straight to
We hear intimacy, I think we jump to the physical immediately. I think that's one. I think that's true. I think all guys have gotten stuff thrown back in their face. So after they think about it, after they get into the relationship, then they think of how much can I really share with this individual? Like, I've had some people I've talked to recently, and they was like, I feel like you don't share enough. It's IG. But I think people are like,
I share plenty.
It's a growth
somebody
process.
directly on IG?
No, I'm not saying that. But I think it's a growth process, really. I think like you grow in your relationship and you're not going to divulge everything right away, right? It's a growing process. It's a give and take. I'm giving you something. You waiting for something to come back. And as long as you getting like that reciprocation, I think you're good and you continue to grow.
In a relationship.
Not
in a with someone you're just kicking it with.
Facts.
Like hanging out, fucking, I guess.
Like you were fuckboy free, like the last
exactly.
fuckboy.
Yeah,
So, definitely in a
So that asks a
Go on,
question,
Sean.
right? Can you be intimate with somebody you don't have like a committed relationship with? Somebody you are just kicking it with? Is that even possible? Has anybody
Yeah.
ever done that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would say yeah.
Have you done it?
Friends.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
I think
Yes.
so.
Thinking.
Yeah. So to encapsulate, and that's a great question, Sean. I think from what Jeff is saying and from what you all probably would agree with, most men jump into. I think most men confuse sex with intimacy, right? And then, like you said earlier, Keisha, your feelings and your emotions and his actions around those, how he treats them, how he cultivates them, lends to the feeling of intimacy you have, which leads to you then probably being more sexually attracted to him.
Exactly.
Sharon, to your point, I think you don't have to. I think there just has to be trust, and trust does not mean that we're in a committed relationship. Trust means you are honest, right? You're doing your thing. I'm doing my thing. We've been completely frank and upfront about that. But that honesty level lets me know that all right, you weren't bullshitting me. And we might have a very solid friendship relationship. You'll never be my wife. I'll never be your husband. But we got this thing, right, where there's this level of trust, and I know you won't betray it, even though our relationship won't officially go but so far.
I completely agree with you. And back to the earlier point, right? Because now I can see the comments, so I can see Jamal in the comments, right? I think
Jamal, so you say something worth hearing.
Jamal is Jamal in the comments. You know he got to be a troll, but
and Jeff, finish that thought. But I want Jeff to address that question that was just. Go ahead, Sean.
Which question? How do you get a relationship with someone without being comfortable with both? That's an interesting question. But just for context, I was actually having a conversation with a friend about intimacy, which brought this topic up. And that was to Jamal's comment. His whole thing was sex is intimacy, which begs the question to men, right? Because let's all be fair. Men have a lot of sex, a lot of different people, all different types of reasons, right? So if what Jamal is saying is true.
Wait a minute. Right.
Oh, don't get all offended.
We're having sex with women, so y'all must be having a lot of sex too
with men.
This is not the point. The point is
just saying. Go ahead.
Men have sex, and if what Jamal is saying is sex is intimate, I would argue sex is not intimate by virtue that men are able to do it so freely, and some women are able to do it so freely.
That's
right?
true. A lot of men can just step off of this chick, forget all about her.
Right.
Half hour later, just because he just had to get some pussy.
Right. So
that's why I said earlier, I think we confuse intimacy to disrespect Jamal's thoughts. I think we confuse sex with intimacy, right?
Well, yeah. Here's my question.
Although it can be one and the same, it doesn't necessarily have to be.
Now, do men sometimes refer to sex as intimacy because they know that that's how women think?
You said it's a calculated response?
As a like getting intimate. Like, do you think that is a way to appeal to a woman to make her more receptive to having sex with you?
Oh, trickery. Ah, Gina.
Yeah. Right. Wait,
We gonna learn
I'm
something today.
wondering.
I have
Something.
never purposefully, intentionally used that language to covertly convince someone to have sex.
I mean, because it's got a connotative meaning.
But I mean, I see your
Right?
point.
Like, it's like if someone comes, I want to get intimate with you, that feels different than, hey, come suck my dick in the car. You know what I mean?
That does
Which
sound
that's very
Yeah.
that's
That's
very
pretty
different.
different.
That's very
Jeff?
different.
I think that we're learning something today. I think you guys should continue to share.
I'm just curious. I'm like, because there's different. Okay, so all sex isn't intimate sex. Like, there's a
Right.
lot of men who will have sex with women that they will not kiss.
Agreed.
Right. And
Yeah.
to me, kissing is way more intimate than.
I would agree.
Speak on that.
I mean, it's like
What's your dirtiest orifice?
right.
If
We're
we're being
kissing. We're
honest.
sharing fluids
Yeah.
In
in our
lunch.
mouth. I
whatever
mean, and
the fuck
then
else
I mean, kisses are like super sexy. I mean, sometimes a kiss can take your
A
breath
good
away.
makeout session is just
I
like
mean, yeah.
dope.
But a
So-
bad kiss can kill the whole
It,
Oh.
vibe.
it definitely.
God.
Okay.
It can be
Yes.
like, yeah, this ain't gonna
Yes.
work.
I wrote a
cannot
whole
be with you for a
column
long
about
period of time.
bad
Yes,
kissing.
This is
I agree.
not gonna happen.
So I mean,
Yeah.
kissing is definitely to me more intimate intercourse.
I would agree. I think it's the lead up. I think there's most of the intimacy starts with the lead up before, right?
Yeah.
It's the, or sitting on the sofa, y'all chilling. It's just a touch here and a touch there. It's like I'm rubbing your feet. We chilling, we watching TV. You turn over and
Now,
you
good
lay in
foot
my
rub.
lap. It's a whole different scenario
And
of
there's
intimacy,
so many.
right?
There's so many. I mean, for me, like a sports game, my favorite team, we're there. Like that's what I wanted to do. We won. Afterwards, like I'm on a high.
Yeah.
She's
So
every man's
depending
dream.
on-
You want somebody who's gonna watch football with you, then give it up. This is
look,
Keisha.
Look,
For
both
sure.
these motherfuckers out here fishing. Go ahead.
I'm like, okay,
It's
girl.
the season. Go ahead. Put it out
You
there.
are
It
the
is puppy
dream.
season.
I like this comment though.
Which the last one?
One right here.
Okay.
So you
Oh.
can be having sex and not be as intimate as you might be in an open, honest, and transparent
Absolutely.
conversation.
I
Completely
agree
agree.
with that.
Oh, yeah.
Kiana, completely agree.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
You
Really?
can just like, I mean, because sex can be just kind of this carnal thing where you're like, all right,
Mhm.
let's just get this done.
Right.
And then, what is Jamal Jamaling again?
Uh-huh.
You guys have been
Oh,
trained
yes.
into my master
Jamaling.
game marketing? Okay. Please,
Wow.
Jamaling.
Ah,
This is
Okay.
Jamala. But I want to go back to that other question because I think this was tossed at you, Jeff. You mentioned that it's hard to occasionally you're in a relationship, but it's hard to let your walls down and be intimate, and vulnerable with
Yeah.
somebody. And the question was, how do you get in a relationship with someone without being comfortable with vulnerability? How does that happen?
I think in the beginning stages of a relationship, there are still walls on both sides, right? You just met someone. You have the most, top-notch secret, like 007 information in your head about yourself,
Mhm.
your family, the people that they just met. Like I don't want them to judge my brother yet. I don't want them to judge my pops. I don't want them to judge. So
Oh, my brother
I'm
just
not
did it in
going to
prison.
share everything with you immediately. I'm
Mhm.
going to say, this is my brother. I'm thinking like, man, at one time. And then I'm say, this is my pops. This is everybody. And you're just going to make sure you still, there's levels to it, right? So I can get in this relationship. And then I have this, obviously, we're at the physical intimacy that we're good enough to go into a relationship. We're able to share some things. But I believe it's just some of those high-notch 007 information that you still not going to share. And you may not even share that until you get married.
That long?
Certain things you may not even
Now,
share.
you know what? If it's going
till
to
you
be a
get married.
relationship threat, share it before you get married.
Yeah.
Man, if it's a relationship
Okay.
threat. But there's just some
Because you
things
know.
there's some things about your family that's not going to affect the relationship, right? It's
About
just some
that
stuff that
10
you
years
feel
of
like,
time you did. Share that before.
that's just, that's really my brother's business. I don't need to share.
Oh, well, your
that
brother.
with her.
Now, as long as your brother's not in finances, then I guess it's
Yeah,
fine.
as long as he's not, touching the bank account or nothing like that, we're good. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's certain things you're gonna share because it's your information
But,
to share,
okay.
but you still don't want to get judged though. There's
You don't
still
wanna
some
get
of the stuff you're gonna.
So
hold
that's
close to
like
the
the
chest.
dirt, right? But see, some part of me often feels that before you have sex is the time for you to get honest answers about shit. Okay.
In the middle of
Let
the.
me-
Oh my gosh.
No,
Go
not in
ahead.
the middle.
No.
Foreplay.
I think she means before the
Before
bed.
you
I
have,
got you.
before you have decided.
Okay.
Because sometimes, like, I was just having this conversation with one of my friends who met this guy recently, and she's trying to figure out what direction they're going to go in. And I was like, before you have sex with him, ask him, like, before it gets to be a loaded question, find out from him, like, how he wants his life to look. He's recently, like, I guess might be divorced or something. And
Mhm.
so I was like, ask him. I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not gonna I don't over affiliate. So I'm assuming that he's not with the person that he was with for a while.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, ask him, like, get the honest answer out of him, because after sex, then it becomes loaded. Like, then it becomes, she's asking me because she wants to know if we can be attached, and then there's all this nuance. So sometimes before you have sex and you're just getting to know someone, people don't have anything to lose because they haven't done anything yet. And so sometimes you can get an honest view of their life, what they want. Like, there's a level of vulnerability that you can get to before you make that decision.
All about transparency up front. Like, I am an open book, sometimes probably too open, but I would rather just have it on the table and let you decide. And in those cases, I feel like communication is so key. Everything goes back to the
It really does.
Yeah.
and being transparent.
I agree with that. When it's your
Everyone's
information to share, I think it's all about communication and be as transparent as possible.
Sean?
I don't want to get
my
with
bad.
anybody and then they switch it up on me.
Yeah, don't bait.
Or
Well,
they
at
be
least
like-
just give me the option.
Give
Like,
me the option.
if you have a husband, let me decide if I want to be a homewrecker.
There
Like,
you
don't
go.
reel me in. I'm all like, woo, woo,
Wait.
woo.
If you have a if you have a husband.
So what's the limit? I mean, what exactly will you not?
I don't.
do?
I don't. That's not what I do. I'm just saying.
I'm saying.
I'm like,
Let people. I mean, be
What is
honest.
happening?
Like, give people the choice to do
Right.
That's
whatever
my
they
thing.
want to do. Like,
And you'll be surprised
not
how
me
many
be.
people will go.
Okay?
Like,
I see your face.
Not anymore.
I was like,
not anymore.
I'm not surprised anymore. And how many people will go?
Oh, you're like, I'm not surprised
That
anymore.
part.
None of
That's a
that's
whole
none of that
nother
surprised me.
ballgame.
That's another show.
Whole nother show.
That part.
A whole nother
We've
show.
actually done that show.
What?
We've actually done that show.
Yeah, but we haven't fully dove into it. Sean, what do you think about all this?
What am I? Wait, what? We said a
Were you
lot
paying
of
attention?
stuff.
She was not paying
Somebody
attention.
doing
What?
something totally different.
She's in the comments. She is not.
I am in the comments. That is true. But we said like 15 things. What exactly am I?
That's
saying?
all right. Never mind. We're gonna.
No, because Gina
Keep
said
going.
that we should talk about some things before you get into bed, which
Exactly.
I don't necessarily disagree with. I'm also always present that things can change, right? Like, you may, we've talked about, like, people that you just getting down with for a hot second, right? And you may have that conversation like, I just want to do this and have you in my space for this reason, just to fuck, right? But things can change after those things happen, after you spend time with people. So I would hope there's always still space, even for people to change their minds without, because I guess my concern in hearing that is that if you say something different after having sex, then people are going to feel like you bait and switched, when that may or may not be the case. You may have just changed your mind after having sex. That's there for me.
Is it because the sex was bad?
That's what I was just about to say. That.
Ooh.
yeah.
Or the sex was so good that now you've changed your
Yeah.
mind.
That's true.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
extreme
Either
or the
it's so bad,
other.
it's
Yeah.
like, I know I said I was down for a
Exactly,
relationship.
but
Or
But I think
I
you
know I
should
said
just
I
be
didn't really want you,
but
now I
Yes.
I don't want you.
I at least want you on a weekly basis.
Like,
exactly.
like couple
Twice
season
on Saturday,
rule
maybe?
number
You
38.
know?
You said you were good with this.
That's right.
A man they will hang their hat on that shit. Like, you said, well,
Right. They will. Y'all definitely
You asked
will.
for transparency, and we gave it to you, and then you
Well,
want to flip it, and I'm not supposed to
flip
say
it.
it, but I said.
Well, you can say, like, you have to be careful how you frame it. So when you're talking about your transparency, you could say something like, well, where I sit today.
Oh,
yes.
man. If I ever hear that, I'm gonna be like, I'm
Oh,
scared.
snap.
Oh, damn! I heard this before.
Right. We was on the podcast.
That's like
Gina said
saying-
that.
Mm.
Well, I mean, you never know.
I'll give you the flip side of the coin. You started this question.
Okay,
Right?
cool.
You said it's easier to get real information before you have sex.
Sometimes it is.
I would argue that it's easier to get information after you have.
Well, what kind of
Because
information are
before
you looking for?
That's the key too.
Yeah.
But I would say that before sex, before things get a little too far down the road, everybody's represented, shown forth.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm,
True.
right.
Everybody's best
Right.
That shit is on point.
Right.
Tuxedo and all.
All that.
Exactly.
He got his little bow tie. He doing his thing, right?
Ooh-wee.
Now after we've got after I hit, I'm gonna tell you. You want to know the most honest shit ever?
Then you put on your hoodie.
Ask.
Like I have
You want
one.
to really know the
Is that how
truth?
you ask
You want to
it?
know the real truth? Ask him right after y'all have sex. That's when you get the most vulnerable, honest information.
Yeah,
That
afterwards.
would depend on the sex, though.
No, either way.
Really?
Yeah, because if it's bad, I'm definitely telling you the truth because I ain't worried about a return visit.
Right.
And if it's good, I'm lightheaded right now because you put me in a good space. You might get some honest shit out of me that you wouldn't have got otherwise.
So this is a strategy. I have to help you bust a nut and then start drilling you with the questions to get the honest answer.
Not drilling me. Lay on my chest and stroll. And baby, I
Oh.
was thinking of such and such and such and such. And then you might get some honest shit. Now, careful. On honest answers,
You gonna get them.
you go get them.
Right.
So
Don't.
make sure you ask what you really want to know.
Rule number 1: never ask a question
You don't want
that you cannot accept the worst case scenario answer.
Or if you can, okay, so if you ask a question, I know, yeah. If you ask a question and you are prepared for prepared to take action with that worst case scenario, because there are people who they ask questions, they don't like the answer, but then they continue knowing they don't like the answer, and it's like, well, you got to prepare to make a decision based on what,
And then
Or don't ask.
or don't ask if you can't.
ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
In some cases,
In some cases.
Right.
in some cases.
All this is there.
It is, no, seriously. My fiance would tell you that my representative went stuck around for a while, only because it took me a while to like get mad at him. And so that is when I got mad at him, he's like, "Who are you
this
right
person?
now?
Who are you?
Like,
Who are
who
you?
are you?" And I'm
Was
like,
Gina, was that because you were trying to avoid getting mad, or it just took him that long to
no,
make
it just took a long time for him to piss me off.
Oh.
He's so motherfucking chill. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just took a while. I mean, when he did, it was just like, because I will come out of a bag on your ass. Like, it's just, he's like, who, like, what
Right, what's
is
happening
right now?
What's going on?
So let me ask this. So we've kind of determined, outside of Jeff's fluffy ass answer, that men and women do interpret intimacy a little bit different.
Yes. We have to.
Hard
She's
yes.
like hard yes.
Hard yes.
Yes.
Why do we think that is? Why do you think men tie intimacy to their penis and women tie intimacy more to their hearts and head? Isha, I'm gonna throw that to you first.
Sean is
Oh, Sean! Oh,
Mystery.
come on, Sean!
After you, man.
Dying.
I wasn't looking at the screen. I didn't see
I
it.
was kidding. I was kidding. No, y'all go.
Welcome back, Carter.
Yes.
Ooh.
I was kidding. I know my turn will come. Now go ahead.
No,
Now
go
go
ahead. Take
ahead.
your turn, girl.
Why do I think I hate to be like the sociologist on every damn podcast, right?
That's your
It's
goal.
your
It's-
job, motherfucker.
Oh, isn't it ultimately that men are really trained that's really their life's goal, right? Is to fuck. I was actually trying to be a little bit more dial back this episode, but fuck it.
This is like no sociology class I ever took. Jesus.
Hey, it is.
I mean,
X-rated. This is a cool one. I like
Right,
this.
I would have got to see this motherfucker. We was doing
men are pushed that everything is about sex. Everything is about getting a woman. Everything is about sex. I mean, I don't think there's very much conversation with men about, you know, what's interesting. So I was on Herban 2, shout out to Herban 2. I was on their podcast and we were talking about, I mentioned how men only are able to show two emotions, right? Being cool and being pissed off. Those are the only two emotions men are allowed to show. And I think I relate that to this, right? As women have talked about, it's about being vulnerable. It's about being a lot of things, but I don't think men are indoctrinated to be more complex outside of being aggressive for sex and for respect. So I think that's why men have a hard time seeing intimacy as other things outside of having sex. That's just my personal opinion. And I think women are trained to be very flowery, to think about our weddings, to be very emotional, whether it's true or not. If women are emotional or not, I think we're just really given the space to have all these emotions and be like that. I don't think men are allowed to do that. So I think that's
I'll ask this: what trained by whom?
society, our parents, the church, the schools. I could go on. each
most
other.
Of most of those institutions are run by whom?
People.
By whom? And what kind of
Oh,
people?
you want me to say white people? White people.
I was thinking men.
I was going men.
Okay, white men. That's fine too. We can go there.
Motherfucking shot. Always go to white people first.
Yeah,
It's white people. Wait. We were talking about indigenous in Mexico. White people hadn't even gotten there yet. Anyway.
But you have a valid point, right? A lot of what we know, how we learned, yes, Jamil trained, is from white men and men in general. They set the standards, they set the rules, they tell us how to be women, they tell y'all how to be men. Yeah, I wasn't gonna go there, but yeah.
So you're saying that men, we've limited ourselves and how we are allowed to explore our emotions, no intimacy.
Yes, and to be fair, women help support that, right? I think early in the conversation we were talking about how women use your vulnerability against you. That's just a weapon women have learned to keep you all in the same space of not being able to have more complex emotions. So yeah, we support that, but you all built the bridge for you to be able to do
We're
that.
playing your game.
Built the matrix. Okay.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
playing your game.
We absolutely support that for sure.
I was not going that route, but Sean, that shit, that right there, that shit right there, yes, bravo. I don't even have anything to say, really.
I don't even remember.
Somebody gotta have something to say.
The
We can't let this question
why-
hang out.
The why men and women see intimacy so.
Oh, why we see it differently. Yeah, I think it's more socially acceptable for women to have to be more in our and it's not necessarily for men. So I think that men have to kind of go levels deeper than where we go for their true vulnerability, true intimacy. And women, I think it can happen a little more freely because it's what we expect and it's kind of what we go looking for.
Mm-hmm.
We go looking for intimacy and we don't find it in places where we look often. And men are just holding on to their shit until they just get deeper with a specific person. Sometimes choose the wrong person too, but yeah.
So what happens? I'll play like devil's advocate. What happens with this younger generation that are now like in counseling and being vulnerable and in their feelings? How does that shift, I guess, the spectrum? Because as women, this is what we've been taught for so long. But now these men, they're switching it up.
They are switching it up. That's for sure. They're
Look at her face.
Look
at her face.
Look at her face. Yeah, I'm just so tired of being accused of you're triggering me, and you're.
I feel her breath.
I'm just like, oh.
She's like,
you know why? You know what irritates me is because a lot of this triggered generation who's in therapy and all this other stuff, they don't know how to be together. They don't know how to be with people. They know how to be on this. They know how to be on social media, but they get their intimacy, I think, is still going to be skewed because they don't know how to be with one another. They don't,
That's interesting.
Gather
because I may even look at it a whole different spectrum, right? So look at it from this way. I say it's like we've all heard the term "we are what we eat," right? Mm-hmm. It's like we are what we are exposed to, right? Definitely family. Definitely. In some cases, good and bad, right? And definitely, let's say, social media. Definitely, music. It's all what we're around. It's what we're exposed to, right? Right now, we have artists out like Glorilla. We have people out here like Meg Thee Stallion. These are the top female artists that all the women, most of the women are paying to get. For the younger, slightly younger than us, slightly younger, but
a couple years.
They like
these
half
are the
our
people
age.
We're saying that they're soft, right? But they're artists. Like we used to listen to Jodeci and New Edition for R&B. Where are their R&B songs where they have the emotion that they like, oh yeah, I want to do this. They're like, oh, I ain't got to take this. And if they don't do that, I'm out. it's like the sensitivity has dropped.
Oh, it's dropped.
Get the
Lightly
head,
being
the
an
bag, and leave.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That part.
It's it.
and kill them if
Yeah.
they don't want to
And
give
a lot
you
of
what
the-
they
a lot of
want.
times it's flipped. Like, so their emotion is coming into the masculine emotion of, oh, I ain't got to be soft on that, or I'm not gonna take this. I get what I want. Give me some head, and I'm out, and I'm good, and it's acceptable.
Right.
It's
that's what they're
acceptable
hearing,
for their
yeah.
generation because that's what they're exposed to. That's what they're hearing. That's what they're believing. That's what they're buying. That's
Yeah.
what they're on social
They have a
media
steady diet. of it.
hearting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Glorilla's getting all these millions. Cardi B is all these millions.
Get
It's
your
the
bag,
one.
girl.
Get your bag
Mhm.
and get your sex in and leave them if you have to. It ain't about
It
that.
ain't nothing.
So the whole roles have been reversed. It's not even like it was for y'all. I feel like when we were growing up, we had a little bit more where y'all were like a little bit more tied in and emotions and stuff like that. But now, catch somebody in their young 30s, mid to young 30s, or low 30s, or even high 20s or something like that. They're like, whatever. You definitely can't open up to them. Like, yeah, how was your day? Man, it was kind of hard. Man, fuck that shit. Let's go. We about to go and smoke some weed, have some drink.
Facts.
You'll be good. It's like, yo, we can't talk about this? Nigga, you getting soft? No, nigga, let's go get some smoke. Let's get some weed. Let's have some
Yeah.
drink.
And then to top that piece off, right? You not only have you now been vulnerable to them and they're fronting you. Now they're fronting you on social media.
On
Right.
social
Now they're
media.
putting your business out to the world.
They're
Oh, yeah,
screenshotting
right
the
now.
text.
They're basically they're doing like this. They're
Yeah.
videoing you.
Yeah.
They're posting you.
There's
They're
this
on-
motherfucker over here
yeah,
crying.
check them
Right.
out.
Nigga crying right
Like a
now.
little
And then they'll
bitch.
screenshot your text, one-on-one text, and put it on social. Look at this nigga right here. This,
Yeah,
And
there's
you'll
no.
be like, yo,
Nobody
I thought I was
cares.
being vulnerable.
There is no, but there are
Can't
no
get both.
boundaries
Yeah.
digitally,
Yeah.
but physically.
You almost got to put them where it's no Wi-Fi, there's no cameras, there's no phones,
Where's that?
and they ask a question. Oh, their phone has to be in my pocket. And then you be like, all right, so what you want to know?
Damn.
Right.
That's rough.
And then
Yeah.
you tell them.
You gotta do it like when you went to the Chris Rock concert.
It's
Put
a
your
Dave
phone in
Chappelle
there.
show, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna
That's
zip
so
it up.
annoying.
And
Yeah.
you ain't getting it back
You ain't
until
getting
you
it back.
leave.
Right,
Because I don't know what you going to do once I close my eyes for a minute.
right. Nope.
I'm going to go to the bathroom. They're going to be like, ooh, look
Like,
at this
check
shit.
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
It's interesting that Keisha started it with this generation may be more vulnerable because they're more open and
Right.
they're in therapy, and y'all crushed that shit like no.
Absolutely not.
Nope. No.
I
They ain't
this
there
gen-
before a reason.
Yeah, I
but they
think
ain't
this
there yet.
generation, certain segments, to your point though, Keisha, are more open and accepting, and like of different lifestyles and so on and so forth.
They are.
Yeah, but when it comes to their personal vulnerability, I don't know.
Yeah. Although, there's this whole thing, and because I'm an executive recruiter and I'm responsible for a lot of teams of younger people, it's this whole like bring your whole self to work thing.
Mm-hmm. Be your authentic self.
Yeah, I'm like, leave some of that shit at home.
Yeah,
At
keep
home.
that. at
I don't
the
need
crib.
your whole self
Right.
at
Just
work.
kill
I need,
it.
Right.
I need
All
a motherfucker
this,
to get good work
like-
done.
Well, because this woman that this young woman
Yeah.
that I work with was like, she had to leave or she couldn't be on the Zoom because she had to go to Planned Parenthood because she
Oh,
had a bad. I was like, look,
Oh,
if you're about to tell me about a Plan B situation, just take the afternoon. I don't
Right.
want to know
right.
about your fucking. And like, I'm like, this is a little more of yourself at work
Right.
than I
Than I
need to
need.
have.
I need.
Right?
There has to be
Like,
some
don't
boundaries.
do that.
They don't
Right?
have boundaries.
They don't.
And,
And
they don't
and
know
while
what
you're
the
there,
boundaries
get some
are.
birth
They have no
control
idea.
pills. Like,
It's
what's wrong with you? Yeah, I mean, it's
Damn,
just,
Gina.
it's no, but I mean, real talk. Like, you're gonna, well, if you're letting me in, right?
Right.
Like, so you're telling me you got a Planned Parenthood problem, then let me just make a suggestion while you're there.
Let me help you out before you even get there, because they have that at Walgreens.
They
Let me
do.
help you out, sis.
Exactly.
They have it. You can get it. Like, I'm not trying to be in your business or tell you how to live your life, but if you can't be on my meetings and you're telling me about your potential pregnancy problem, let me
Right.
help you with the solution.
Right.
Yeah.
But don't bring your whole self to work.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not a person of color. Like, really don't do that.
Yeah.
But
Don't
anyway,
do it.
Let me
Totally
ask
off
this.
topic.
Let me ask that. That's fine. I
do
like
that.
funny divergence.
change it.
So we've talked about how we're not always on the same accord when it comes. So let me ask this: why can't y'all just get with us on our level?
Yeah.
Why can't when I just want some ass, just give me some ass?
Just go.
And that's what I need to be intimate in a moment. Why can't you just succumb to my need for intimacy?
Facts.
Ladies,
Well,
I
doesn't
don't
don't
even
you?
understand
Can
the
you,
question, but
can you
okay.
balance that? Like, I can give you some ass in the moment when you're ready to be intimate, but like, I need some of the other stuff too.
Maybe if you gave me some more intimacy in my way, I would give you more intimacy in your way.
See?
Like, where's the
I
foot
like this.
rubs? All
Not
that.
even that. I mean, just sometimes I want to talk. Sometimes I want to vent.
Cool.
Let me have that.
The best way
You
to
can
get
have
rid of
it
a man
after
is
that.
say, "I need to talk."
After that, can we have sex?
Yeah, I'm saying it has to be a balance. You
Depending
want
on
your
the
So
sex,
conversation.
and I
lead
want
with
my
that.
other
Lead
things.
with that. Say, babe, I'm ready. Give me 30 minutes to talk about that bitch at work that I don't like, and then we can get it going.
I don't want to even talk about the
But
bitch
once
at
it
work I
hits
don't
30
like.
minutes,
That's
the clock
The
has
clock is
run.
running.
You're like, do.
I don't want to look up 2 hours and 15 minutes later and be like,
You gonna put the alarm on me?
Because y'all really
Yeah.
y'all really don't want to hear our opinion anyway, right? All you want to hear is,
Yeah,
yep.
girl.
Exactly.
What?
Uh-huh.
That
Yes.
bitch crazy.
That's crazy.
You want me to whoop her ass? You want me to send somebody to
Right.
whoop
Do I
her
got to come to
ass?
work? No.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Good
But I
stuff.
mean, okay, so what does that
Alright.
look like? Okay, so if we were to get on your page
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
terms of intimacy,
Mhm.
give me show
Yeah,
me
show-
what
what
is that situation? How does that play out?
Gina, we know how that situation plays out. We just
I know, she asked
but I
us.
need
That's
to
how
hear
that
it.
plays
And
out.
you know who I really want to hear it from is Jeff Murray. Over
Jeff,
here.
how-
What is it?
Oh,
How does
she
that
called
play
you
out? I think it's just like whenever we
Yeah, you're single,
request
so I
some
wanna know.
additional
What you getting
feelage that y'all be like, all right, baby.
All right,
We
so
right
okay,
here,
so
or- and it don't even have to be a
You're not being as
conversation.
specific as I need. Okay, so you are dating someone. Okay, you're
Uh-huh.
dating someone,
Uh-huh.
Is
and
it just like the first or second date? Or
no,
we like
you're
kinda-
dating.
You're in a
All right, we
relationship.
good.
You're in a
All right,
relationship,
we're in a
right?
relationship. All right,
You're
that's
in a
better.
relationship, and you're
Beautiful.
spending the night. You doing okay? So now, what does it look like if she gets on your page with intimacy? Like, what is she not doing that she could do? I want to help people.
Oh, we're trying to help.
We're trying to help the people.
That's that's our goal
We're
here.
trying to help the people. Facts.
We're trying to help.
And the
people.
zone is based on helping the people.
Yeah, we want to help people. So, like, what is she not doing that she could do?
I'm not saying somebody's not doing. All right, but no. Let's say.
But he knows.
What could she be doing that she's not doing?
Yeah, what does that look like?
In general, I would say that I'm not having any of those issues. No, I would say.
I'm not asking if it's current.
I
You're
would
not
say
gonna get in trouble.
We are helping
sir.
you.
I love Jake.
I'm joking, but I'm just saying, like when we go through those scenarios, I think we just want more
Ass.
ass.
So we determine though that it's not always intimate.
It isn't.
They don't know. They say get on our page,
We're
but they
trying
have
to
not
figure it
given us
out,
an
right?
example.
All right, so this,
Fair question.
I'm
Go ahead,
gonna
Jeff.
elaborate, then
You
I'm
go-
gonna pass it
go
over.
ahead.
to you.
Okay,
Your
yeah.
time, and
So
you've
this-
had your time.
So this is
She
the
said
thing.
she got the clock on you.
Right.
No,
So
I
remember
want
you
no.
said
I
30
really,
minutes.
I'm
really
recalling
want
my time. I'm recalling my time.
Jeff is a single man, and there are single women out there that are
That
trying
need
to figure
to
this
be
out.
understand this.
So I want
That's right.
to get.
I think what we just really need is that once we get on the same page and we're in a relationship matter, I think there's certain things that we just know that as people that if we start like, for example, say if we start our little nudge or our grab or something that we know is about to go down,
Mhm.
and if there's some issues in the back of your mind you want to talk about, like right in the moment, let's go through this process that we already started. Talk about it right after.
So you're basically like,
You're gonna be asleep.
While you're
You will be asleep. That's why we don't talk about it
This is-
after.
Stay
You will
up.
be asleep,
Right.
At the
I
end,
stay
just like,
up.
baby, so I wanted to talk to you about something. And I don't be
and
like,
you gonna be
okay,
knocked
baby,
out.
go right ahead.
right here we have Jeff Murray in a hurry. That's what we have.
Jesus.
No,
Damn.
but
shots
no.
fired.
But real talk though, no, I'm just Jeff knows I love him. But really, like if she's like, how do you get her to your level of intimacy? Like what are the steps? And Brian, we'll open this up. You're married,
Mhm.
so you've done this, presumably.
Supposedly.
Let's hope.
Maybe.
Let's hope you and your wife
Probably.
have
I
achieved
don't-
intimacy.
I don't-
So like where okay, so my goal here is let's bridge the gap. And women can talk about this, but I'm curious about how the men feel.
So take both of those questions. So if I'm trying to bridge the gap, I have to understand my woman's love language. What speaks to her.
There is a quiz.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
is it acts of service? Is it extravagant gifts? Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
If it's a combination, I mean, you can't just because it's one thing mean you don't do you like
Right.
the others, right?
Yeah.
But maybe you lean in harder on the one that means the most.
Yeah.
I know my wife's love language is acts of service. I know if I clean this kitchen up, I let these dogs out, and I get these kids in bed, and she ain't got to lift nothing, and maybe I cook dinner or whatever,
Yeah.
and all that's off her plate, I have a much better percentage chance of getting some than if I do none of that, right?
So for you, it's all about the getting some. How do we get to the getting some?
Well, I thought that was the question you asked.
no, but I'm talking about, but intimacy is sometimes different.
Yes,
like
yes,
intimacy
yes,
is not just the penis and the vagina. Sometimes it's the other shit. around it.
So
right.
what I said was get on our
Yeah.
page about giving us some.
That's
love,
what I thought we were
Right.
doing.
Right.
No,
I
I'm
got-
talking about
I got
real.
more.
Now,
like,
if you're talking
real
about
intimacy.
real deep down intimacy, I think that's really having tough conversations.
Okay.
At the end of the day, you can have all the fluff you want. You can even have some mediocre, middle of the road conversations about. I'm talking about the tough, really hard
Yeah.
conversations about who you are, like being completely open and honest about some shit other people do.
Right.
Letting your guard down from this. Everybody has social media and made us all have this public persona. We've always
Right.
had it, but now we've really got it, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Packing all that away and letting
Right.
you see just all my warts, all my flaws.
Take away Bri Foss.
B False is dead, right?
Right.
As she loves to say, don't bring B False up in here. Bring Brian up in here.
Right.
So I think when you get to that point, for men or women, I think that's when you really kind of build this, as Jeff was saying earlier, right?
Mhm.
Now, how I need that intimacy displayed might be different than how she.
Right.
I am a more touchy-feely, dub, holding hands, kissy. Like she's
that too.
yeah. She's more kind of like, yeah, that's cute, nigga, but I don't.
I need you to mop them floors.
While you doing all that, you could be scrubbing these toilets. But
Right.
but I mean,
Right.
so not that she's not into that, but I'm more than that. That's my love language. Like
Okay.
physical touch, right?
Okay.
So I think that where it gets complicated is when neither one wants to lean too far into the other.
Mhm.
No matter how much you love each other and all that good stuff, everybody kind of gets to the point where like, I feel like I'm doing all this and you're not reciprocating.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's where then you start drawing these funky ass lines, right? Like, well, I remember yesterday you didn't wash the dishes. Well, I remember yesterday I tried to get kissed today, you ain't, and now you doing this tit for tat dumb shit.
So it's kind of like you're not speaking the same language in the sense that like if okay, so if I know that someone is into me because they send me flowers, let's just say, and if I'm with someone who they think they're showing they're into me by sending me candy, then that's going to be a miscommunication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for flowers. It's like, well, she don't like my candy.
Right.
And
And
so
That's what
it's
I
like
said that in my last relationship. Like, I'm asking for a heart and you're giving me a liver.
right.
I don't need a liver.
I need a heart.
but I think that's on both.
But
you all
then
too,
but
Jeff.
then how do you encode that? So you have to encode like, well, he's sending me candy. So that's his
That's
his
his-
language.
That's his
right.
Yeah.
And it's those deeper conversations
Yes.
that has to be made.
It always
So
goes back to
it
communication.
goes back to the communication
Yes.
of like, yeah, I like human organs, but hearts are more important than
Right,
the liver.
exactly.
And you'd be like,
The
but
liver
I-
will grow
and
back.
it goes back. It's
What
that
Jeffrey Dahmer shit is we talking about right now. Go ahead.
but it's that acceptance, and then it's that empathy of I understand how you were trying to show your love to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's the acceptance,
Mhm.
and then it's saying, but tell me how you need to be loved,
Mhm.
because everyone's not going to take that quiz. Everybody don't know the love languages. We
Right.
have to have those type of love language conversations
Stations. Yeah.
and saying, okay, really like flowers more than you like chocolate candy.
Right.
I really
yeah.
like chocolate candy, but that's you, dude.
That's you.
So
Don't buy
she likes
yourself
flowers.
something.
Get
Buy
yourself some
something
chocolate
for you.
candy.
Right, exactly.
Find out what she needs and give it
And
for
give
her.
it to her. That's
And
where it's gonna
that's
be.
those tough conversations, and that's not a tough part. That's not one of the tough
No.
ones, but there's some tougher ones where you're gonna have those conversations of, I don't like the way you shut down at night, and this has been your pattern for 38 years, right?
Well,
You're
that's
like,
probably
I
not gonna
really
change.
need at least 30 minutes of your time at the end of the night where we can just wind down, sit on the sofa and cuddle. Because I know when you get to the bed, you're going to try to fuck me. right? And you like, all right, we can sit on the sofa, but if I take you to the bed, but now I know you don't want to do that. I'm going to, even if we stay in the bed, I know what you need now. You need 30 minutes of non-sexual me time, us time.
Right.
So now that I know that what it is, in my mind, I always like, yo, we got to close out the night with this. But yo, I know you need 30 minutes. I'm going to sit back and give you that time, give
But then
you
you're
what you
like-
need. And I'm not going to put on the clock.
The timer.
I'm not going to put on an alarm clock for 30 minutes. I'm going to flow with you. And sometimes it's going to be an hour and a half. Sometimes it may be 28 minutes. Ain't going to go lower than
28 minutes. Then
You're
you
going to
get 2
at
minutes
least
of
get your
sex.
30 minutes. But I'm going to give you
Damn.
that space that you need. And that's those conversations we have to make that happen.
Exactly. He's a
Jeff,
bit.
Jeff
I'm
got,
done.
y'all probably can't. Jeff got the stopwatch going. When it's
Right.
I'm done.
No, I'm not this
And
conversation.
done.
Talking. It's like, all right, and you're
All
done.
right.
Throw that ass in a
You
circle.
want to jump in?
Shop, take clothes off. Okay, what you say?
Wait, take my clothes off. No, I'm actually enjoying Jeff right now. Jeff is being profound. I'm in shock and awe of Jeff.
Jeff,
being
they don't know.
profound
Me
right
too.
They don't know
Y'all
Jeff.
have no idea.
They don't know
man.
You
Jeff.
gotta be able to drag. You gotta be able to draw it out of Jeff.
I'm impressed with Jeff right now. Hey, now,
See, this is like, ladies, okay.
I guess I do have one
Single
question
man.
though, right? Because we've been talking about like this intimacy thing, and to go back to what we were talking about earlier about women kind of getting on the same page with men in their sexual intimacy, right? Because that's really what we were talking about. And I just have this lingering question: how is a woman supposed to know when the sex is just sex or when the sex is actually intimacy? Like how do we
Does
know
he kiss you?
Is that the tell?
Or just on the forehead.
Or does he Joe Pesci you? You know what I mean by that?
Wait, Sean. Wait, Sean. Elaborate. Are you saying in a relationship? Or are you saying how?
I mean, we've already determined that you can be intimate with people you're not in relationship, right? And earlier we were talking about women getting on the same page about intimacy with men, right? And basically I said that we need to bend over. I was joking, but not really. But how does a woman know, right? Because you all want to have sex, and every sexual experience, even with somebody you are in relationship with, is not going to be about intimacy.
Mhm.
How do we tell the difference? Where does the difference lie for a man with intimate sex versus I need to bust this nut?
Let me ask this question in response. What does it matter?
Okay, fair.
I mean, real talk. Because sometimes it's gonna be I just need to bust a nut. Sometimes it's gonna be I want to be intimate, right? And I think there's room for both in
Absolutely.
your relationship, as long
has
as
to be.
you have the
Yeah.
foundation of the trust, vulnerability, all that stuff. Because it's who can make love all the time.
Oh, I know somebody.
I'm sure somebody can.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm not saying that was a good thing though. Like,
I know. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
I'm saying that ain't a good.
That ain't a good thing.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
it's-
but who?
it's like whack.
It isn't.
You have to
I
be
mean,
able to
but
flex
there
between
are
all of
there's a
Bust me,
spectrum.
please.
Yeah,
And
something
if
there's
I
a
have to
spectrum.
tell you to spank my ass,
Look into my
it's not
eyes.
fun anymore.
Yeah, but
I caress
also
your face.
you don't want to be
Right.
the
Look
person
at
who's
you.
always okay.
Look
Turn
at me.
around.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
There has to be a balance.
Yeah, there's
There
got to be
has
a
to be a
balance, but
balance.
like I think there's room for everything.
Sean, I would
Whatever
say,
you want to include.
whatever you want. Sean, I would say you would know the difference
Animals.
because if I roll over and I was like, that's for your titties, and I want to stick it in, then you know that's just about some sex.
The
right?
wham,
Right.
bam, bam,
That's
bam.
right.
That's a
But
lot of
if it's
information.
like there's longing, there's kissing, there's foreplay, there's eye contact, there's you
Okay.
can tell that's probably a more intimate moment.
Okay. I'm trying to help the people since apparently we're like Dr. Ruth now. I'm going to help the people out.
Dr.
Dr.
Ruth.
Ruth.
Well, you just have to
haven't
fuck
seen
her.
her in
Yeah.
a long time.
I think she
Dr.
died.
Ruth.
I think she died.
That's right. We are helping you people.
We're
I hope
helping
you are
you.
taking.
No, but I mean, I think that well, it's always my goal. Always, when I was a columnist, was people should walk away with more information than when they started. So I always like to make sure that we are adding information that could help them,
Let me.
if possible.
We're gonna wrap soon, but let me
Or
ask.
just talk shit.
Just talk shit. Why do we think conversation and communication around this is? Why do people find it so hard to have these conversations?
It's uncomfortable.
I think overall, like in society, is such a we're so sexual as humans, but like society, even though it's 2022 and we're supposed to be so sexual, it's really still like, oh, girls when we talk about sex and intimacy, right? And I think that it would help if we communicated more in these moments, because we've all been in relationships, right? I'm not in being single all my life, but like everybody's different. So what you did to someone else might not be what I like. But if you're not having that conversation, then that goes into faking it and all these different things, which goes back to trust and being vulnerable. And so if we're not having those conversations, pretty much messes everything up. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I feel like, again, I'll step back to the acceptable societies, similar to what you just said. We live. Think about how you think about parts in your life right now by the music that was played, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can listen to a song and it was back in 90 something or whatever, and you'd be like, I was with my boyfriend at that point when I heard that song. This was our favorite song. And it goes back to that. We don't have that type of music anymore. The type of music that's out now, either we're reversing and listening to our music because that was our music when we were younger, but the current music is being more acceptable not to have those conversations, to be less sensitive, to be more open to just sex, wham, bam, and I got my shit too. It's not just you, dude. I got what I did too, so we both won. It's not like I'm taking a walk of shame anymore. That used to be things that our ladies used to be like, I got to make sure I understand where we're at. We got to have conversation because I don't want to take this walk of shame. Now, there is no walk of shame. It's like, hey, I got what I'm proud. I'm walking out and putting my chest up, and I got what I wanted. You didn't win. I won. So it's not that force or that expectation on us anymore to have those hard conversations. It's easier to take the easy route, right? To take the detour instead of going down the highway at each and every sign. So I just think we got to grow. We got to go back to communication. We need some more 90s R&B.
Jeff is really missing that 90s R&B.
He misses that.
We need more R&B.
That boy
It ain't even
more
got to
Shine,
be
more
90s.
Silk, more.
He wants
Oh,
Jodeci to get back together.
You say stop.
I want the baby to do some 90s R&B
Oh,
remix.
Oh,
No.
We're in trouble.
I want the baby to retire.
Right.
I just feel like between two people, it's got to start somewhere, right? So between two people, someone's got to start down the path and the other person accepting. It's like you gotta establish it somewhere. I think one of the best parts about relationships when you're in a good one is that you can feel like you can say anything to that person and they will approach it with a level of trying to understand you as opposed to a level of trying to judge you. And so I think that's a good sign of intimacy where you can just say whatever comes to your mind that you would never normally say. And maybe even the person that you're with will be like, okay, maybe say less about that in public, but I get you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, even if it's that, I mean, just to be able to just be an authentic self with the person, there's a lot to be said for that, So,
Safe space.
Aaron, what's your thought? What's your thought?
Now, Sean, what you think?
Oh, Sean.
So I'm gonna build on something Jeff was saying, not the R&B, the '90s R&B thing. Because
I'm with you, Jeff.
Him and Foxy Brown, like.
Want some more Keith Sweat? How you get
Man.
R&B
I
and
want
say
some more
Foxy
Lil'
Brown?
Kim.
What the hell's
See,
wrong with
Brown,
you?
they see on
No,
doing
what I'm
these-
saying
Doing
is
it and doing it and doing
the
it.
predecessors to Meg and the Cardi B's is Little Kim and Foxy Brown. But anyway, that's not the point of where I'm going. I think overall communication, people don't communicate to understand and listen. People communicate to dictate what they want you to know, right? And I think if everybody approaches communication as trying to understand what the other person is trying to communicate and build something from that communication, I think that would yield less misunderstanding between the genders. And that's across the board, not just with intimacy. That's with social media. That's with everything. People just talk to get their point across and not really to understand what the other person is trying to communicate.
Yeah, they're talking. They're listening they're not listening.
They're
just
not even
waiting for
listening.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
they're waiting for you to
They're
finish.
listening to
Yeah,
respond.
Say what
they're
they
waiting
gonna do.
But I think there's a lot to be said for just kind of like we're talking about the gifts, right? Like just kind of the I want flowers, he gives candy. It's like just understand that other person and give them what they want as opposed to what you want them to have. I think will be.
Yeah, I think that it all circles back to trust, right? You got to trust that and this was kind of where I was going. It was no sex thing. You got to trust that if you supply me with what I'm asking for, I will in return supply you with what. And if you're sacrificing on one end, I'm making up for it on the other. There's that balance you're hoping that happens, because you might be sacrificing something that kind of truly makes you happy in a certain regard, and then you got to trust that they're going to do this.
Right.
Yeah. There's got to be some reciprocity there.
Yeah.
And to your point, Sean, I 100% agree. I think I blame social media for a lot, good and bad. People get so used to listening to respond and swaying you to their point. I think it's kind of, I think social media in general has ruined the art of communication.
Oh, for sure.
Around
100%.
everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Including
People starting relationships on social
intimacy.
media.
And I think it's also hard to talk about intimacy because people are scared to be intimate. So how do you even have a conversation?
Yeah, it's fear.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're about to wrap. Final thoughts. I want to go around the room real quick. 30 seconds left. Jeff, any final thoughts?
I'll say this. I'll say communication is a learned skill. If you grew up your whole life with negative communication or terrible communication, you have some time where you're going to have to try to do good communication over and over until it becomes a skill. We're all start at different levels. Our communication skill is not at the same. All I say is if you get in somebody and you get into a relationship, give them some grace. Understand you're not at the same level and know that you're going to grow and you'll build and you'll grow together.
You hope.
You hope.
You sound like an expert.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff is a certified expert at
Salud.
this point.
Keish?
For me, it's all about communication and consistency. So, yes, we're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you may communicate something to me and I am not listening as I should, or vice versa. And even in just relationships in general, you do make mistakes. But if you're apologizing, making sure those actions are changing as opposed to just saying I'm sorry, and then being consistent with whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's the consistency. Like, start off giving me my heart that I wanted. You've given me that heart and not a goddamn liver.
Damn liver.
Yes.
That's
No, I
the
don't.
takeaway for the show. Don't give me the liver, give me the heart.
Right.
Please put that up there and pin it.
John, what do you think?
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue about the communication tip. I think that's going to be really important. To add on to that, I think everybody needs to come to the relationship wanting, I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. You have to want to be engaged with that person, right? Like you can't, I mean, you can make this about you and you be selfish about it, but you're going to yield similar results that you've had in previous relationships, right? You have to want to engage that person. You have to want to learn them. You have to want to understand them. I think that's also a part of communication, actually wanting to be engaged with them. So that's the only thing I think I would add on to the communication piece.
I think I've talked a lot during this whole.
That's why you're here, boo.
Yeah, no, I think it's communication and understanding. Like, just try to get a sense of understanding of the person you're with. And, you're not, take yourself out of it. You're communicating with that person and get to really know them. And then figure out if there are people that deserve your vulnerability, I think. Cough again.
What are y'all doing to Gina over there?
That's right. That's that Maker's hitting her.
It
So, first and foremost, thank you all for your openness and vulnerability in this conversation. Appreciate your presence and taking the time out to be on the show. Love all of you all. I think we're talking about intimacy, and me and Dell got deep with it. I'll try to be Jeff's counterpoint on the shallower end. But I think men aren't as tied to their penises as A pretend to be, and B you think we are. I completely believe that. I think we are way deeper than that, and we just have to be given grace and time to be allowed to show that. And I think that I think you probably all can speak to this, when you, and I know Sean can, when you're in a relationship and man puts his guard down, right? Like you got to be ready for that too, though, right? Like,
Right.
oh
Yeah.
shit, the guard is down, and
You're like, what do I do with
and
this
I didn't.
thing?
Yeah, what the fuck am I supposed to do with all this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of you maybe you haven't been in several because a lot of men don't. When you do have that guy that you've gotten to that point, give him some grace. Let him some, and we haven't had the room to explore those feelings, maybe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's
Facts.
all give each other the grace to kind of figure that out, and don't quit. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
Unless you see some crazy shit.
well, yes.
yeah.
Unless
In
they
which
give you a
case,
reason to
run
be
fast
scared
in the
or
opposite direction.
quit. But I think we give up too easily on these things and
Mhm.
refer and
Yes.
retreat back into our norms of what we think we should be doing or how
Yeah.
we've acted in the past. Because as just we had a bad experience when we were 13, and now let's take everybody as individual. And don't give your intimacy away, obviously. But when you feel that you're in a place to give it freely, let it roll and give each other that space to make it happen. And I think you'll find some beauty in this bleak world. Anyway, that's the End of Zone podcast for today, people. Thank you for joining me. We appreciate your presence. We'll be back next Wednesday. Sean will be back Sean might not be back in studio. We'll
Why
see.
won't I be back next week?
Because you might be out of town next week for work.
I'm not out of town now, but no, I'm not out of. Well, I may be.
I
Actually,
said in
you're right.
studio. I
You
said in
might-
He's on
studio.
You might-
location.
yeah.
I'll be back.
So anyway, and I might if you're not here, if you're not
I'll
in
be
studio,
back from
damn it, I'll
Miami
be in
by then.
studio. Saturday, I got we do an End of Zone podcast, classic cinema. And it is What's Love Got to Do with It. Jeff, are you on that one?
I'm not on that
Oh,
one.
you're not on that one? Oh,
No.
you were supposed to be on Poetic Justice.
Yes.
We'll circle back to that.
Wow.
Saturday, What's Love Got to Do with It? The Tina Turner biopic classic.
Woo!
And until then, we'll see you later. Have a good night, y'all. Adam, he didn't pay for this no way, so it don't matter.
You
My man
said
Saran took care of me on Thanksgiving Day. I want to make sure I give him a little shout out.
Around catered. I might see.
That's right. Put up a Saran's video. So y'all, hey, if y'all got some catering needs, my
I
man.
might need to call
Look him up, Mr. Brunch, Chicago.com.
Saran. I may be.
Saran has
reaching
got
out to
you
you.
covered. He
Love it.
is an amazing chef. If you've ever kicked it with us in the old days at Plush and Dragon,
Saran's dope.
yeah, he's still.
Wow.
My man has been a man of many talents and wore many hats. But he has found his home with this. So, MrBrunchChicago.com for all your catering needs.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.